mawkish, false,
bullshit.
cringe-inducing,
Such bullshit.
painful.
Okay, all right. Answer me this, sir.
Sure.
Why don't these siblings get along?
Because
where is the one
Because they're in a movie.
scene that explains why these four people don't get along? That's never
first of all,
laid out.
First of all, that's not you're given an impression that they don't get along or don't spend much time together, but the fact is we know they actually do get along. The only person they don't really get along with is Corey Stoll, the older brother, who's sort of a prick. Yeah, they all do get along, and perhaps they didn't realize they all get along, and I don't know if that's the message or whatever, but this movie is almost identical to Home for the Holidays and The Family Stone, two movies that I love.
Okay,
Oh,
this
God.
is your sweet
Well, that
spot.
explains it then.
This is your sweet spot. You
This is a
didn't
sweet
know
spot.
you were going to like this then.
I didn't. Yeah, no, I didn't. I thought I wouldn't like it, and then I had
I'm
expectations.
disappointed in you right now that you fall for this kind of crap.
How many siblings do you have?
I have one. This is nothing like my family.
Okay, yeah.
This is
I
not.
come from a large family, and I know these movies are crap.
They're funny and it's charming, and I know what's going to happen here is that this movie is going to kick ass on cable. This is going to be a movie that people come upon, and especially even people like you. This is where it pays off for me to be way dumb,
like
to be
you.
dumber, people smarter than I am. Where I so love that I'm the dumb one here.
Expectations of television is going to be good for
Maybe
this film. Is that
there's going to be something
Folding
where
laundry and not paying attention to it while it's on.
you're home alone, and
you
this
have the
movie
flu
will make
and
you
high
feel
on
good.
medication.
That's it. You're
So
high.
when there's no financial barrier of entry, and it's better than having the TV off, okay, fine.
No, it's more than that, because
silence is preferable.
it will make you feel good, and that it will make
No,
when I
it
say
made me
no,
cringe.
no,
It
it
made me
does not. There was no
uncomfortable.
cringing.
So please give us your astronomically large number, Ben.
Jank.
12. 7.9.
Okay. Alonso.
3.
Matt.
5.
I also give
Thank
it a
you.
3.
Thank you.
Despite Ben's greatest mathematical efforts, our number is still a 4.7. It's a 46% and dropping on the tomato meter.
You don't know that it's dropping.
It was higher, and now it's 46%.
Well, is
Even
that
I
the
know that's
definition of dropping?
Yes, it is.
Well, all right then.
It will drop.
You'll make it happen.
Exactly.
Who do you trust among us?
I have to admit that I like this era and I like this music, and that helps a great deal. Like, if you made out with your boyfriend in the car past curfew to Skid Row's I Remember You, you'll probably like this movie.
You're a dirty, dirty whore. No.
We all knew that, though. No, but I think it tugs at a nostalgia, and it knows it's cheesy, and it knows it's flashy and fake. And
But it's not enough.
That
not?
doesn't excuse how boring this movie is.
It's not boring.
It
It's
is
too long.
boring.
It's too long, but it's not boring.
I was expecting any manner of like ridiculousness or over the topness or.
T. Jax is meant to be
All right.
the subversive character here, the Axl Rose character played by Tom Cruise.
I found it's not even boring, it's lazy. This is what I had a real problem with, is that, first of all, 30 minutes into it, I was actually ready to walk out.
Why?
I found I just didn't care. Usually I'll sit in a movie, even if I'm not liking it, I kind of want to see where it's going. And I caught myself thinking, 20, 30 minutes into it, I thought, I just could not give a shit how this story is going to end.
I'm not sure the story matters, though.
Well, but
It's about
here's
the fun of-
from What the Flick, everybody. Matt Atchity, Alonso Duralde, Christy Lemire. We are talking about a very important subject today: Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas.
Yeah. Okay. So, you would think that this is a movie about how non-Christians have messed up Christmas, and we need to remember that it's really about the birth of Jesus, but actually this movie is scolding Christians for not celebrating Christmas the way that Kirk Cameron thinks you should. Take a look.
This movie is hilariously inept.
man.
Like, set aside the ideology, right? And like the twistedness of how they take materialism and try to validate it in
Right.
biblical terms.
We'll get to that in a
Right,
second.
that's like a whole other like
Just
revisionist
as a-
history thing.
As a movie.
Set that aside.
Yeah.
Okay, so like technically, this is baffling and just shockingly, hilariously inept.
Dave White called it a Sunday school PowerPoint presentation because it is barely a movie. First of all, it's 80 minutes, a padded 80
Barely.
minutes, like 80 minutes with like outtakes in the closing credits, and to
This
have
is only part one.
and to find outtakes in this movie was a challenge, I'm sure. So, but there's like a 5-minute introduction of Kirk Cameron in an easy chair in front of a fireplace talking about Christmas.
Drinking cocoa.
And cocoa.
There's so much cocoa in this movie.
Well, but nobody ever drinks any, because they're obviously doing empty mugs. Like they're not faking that at all, which makes me crazy in movies. Fairly valid arguments.
Matt's got a question. Matt's got a question.
Kirk Cameron is not the lead character in this?
Oh, no.
He is.
Kirk Cameron is the explainer-in-chief. Because then a good chunk of this movie is Kirk Cameron and the director sitting in the front of a minivan having a conversation, and every objection.
Like the Sonic commercials?
Kind of, yes, but less interestingly filmed.
And less funny than copying cars with comedians.
Yes. So every argument that the director makes about.
But what distracted me, I don't know if this bothered you when you saw it. So a lot of the film is like in one shot through the passenger side at the director. One is shot through the driver's side at Kirk Cameron, and there are 2 shots through the windshield. Every time they cut to the director, and he likes a lot of extreme close-ups of himself. But when he was like shot from here up, there's something going on with his puffy snowflake sweater.
He's got a hole. There's a hole in that sweater.
I don't know. It was like he had a third nipple or something. Like it was like a shelf. And so it would cut to him and it hit right toward the bottom of the screen, and it was like, just smooth down your sweater. just fix it. Like, no one's in a monitor looking at this, noticing. It distracted the hell out of me.
I think they made this whole thing like in a weekend at Kirk's house. I mean, it's that kind of movie. And then it ends with a hip hop dance number.
Oh no, not just any. It's an extended hip
long
hop dance
one.
number to a funky fresh version of Angels We Have Heard on High.
Yes.
Oh, I wish I were making this up. It's hilarious. And
oh God, this movie.
you know what it is? It's really mediocre. It's like it does what it needs to do for its target audience, but really just sufficiently and blandly.
It is like the kind of movie that airs on the Hallmark Channel around Christmas time, but with
Oscar winners.
But with Oscar winners, exactly. Yeah. I mean, Michael Douglas is basically. I just imagine the meeting was like, get me in as good as it gets. You know, I want to be the cranky old guy with a nougat center who finds love.
It's got the same title as Good As It Gets.
I know.
And
well,
so good.
yeah,
It's the same screenwriter. It's the same screenwriter too.
Oh,
yes,
is it?
Yes.
Oh, that
Mark
explains
Andrews,
everything.
Yeah. There's a lot
Okay.
of Melvin Udall in this character.
Yeah, and so it goes. They owe an apology to both Kurt Vonnegut and Nick Lowe for this one, I think. I think Bill Condon's a really great director. Unfortunately, he is saddled with these terrible novels, this cast who several of them have proven themselves to be interesting actors in other movies, but in the Twilight movies, they sort of do the same.
None of
Staring and pouting and, you know, brooding and whatever that they always do. And so it's like, I felt bad for him, frankly, because I felt like, he had interesting ideas and cool things. He comes from a horror background, but he's just saddled with this thing.
Right.
Like
they don't even bother to fix the dialogue.
This isn't a horror movie either, to be fair. I mean, these are not horror films.
It's a romance.
These are telenovelas minus Espanol.
Right, but what really irked me is that they don't even bother to fix what I can only blame on Stephanie Meyer's bad dialogue, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's the argument that they're having on the honeymoon, and you know, Bella's all over Edward, and Edward's like, no, don't. No, you don't. What was this, written by 12-year-olds? Come on.
And the thing with the honeymoon is, like, it's the moment we've all been waiting for, right? Like, Bella's wanted to do it, and Edward didn't want to do it because he was afraid he would kill her by deflowering her. And then we don't actually even see their honeymoon night. We see them kind of start to do things in bed, and the next morning it's like the bed frame's broken, and there are down fluffs in the air, and poof, she's pregnant.
The broken bed, like that's the teenager version, like the virginal teenager idea of what great sex would be like. Oh, sex was so good, we broke the bed. You know what? If you broke the bed, you're doing it wrong.
It's a metaphor for
I'm sorry.
hymen.
Or you purchased your bed from IKEA.
Yeah, exactly.
I want the trailer to say, Charlize Theron is the last face.
I don't even know why it's called The Last Face. Truly, I don't.
There's some line at the end about the last face you see before you die or something.
It's magical.
It's twaddle, like everything else in this movie.
So basically, Sean Penn has made a 2-hour-long perfume commercial about African spice. That's what this is. That's what this is.
All right, we're done. Thank you, everybody. Don't see the movie. It will not get any better than that.
It's very pretty and gauzy, and the use of like slow motion and dissolves and lens plays. My favorite was Javier Bardem. It's like a close-up of him washing his filthy feet in the sink, and then it dissolves over like a helicopter flying in slow motion over some like Sierra Leone refugee camp.
God,
this movie so pretty. This movie.
Look about the guy who talks about the woman who was raped, and yet she dances.
Oh yes, that was majestic.
I was just like,
There's that.
I can't even quote it. It's so horrible, this line.
And
But
then-
you're just like, what?
Now I want to see this
It's
movie.
batshit. No,
You guys have kind of talked me into it.
The scene where Charlize Theron and Javier Bardem's characters perform an emergency C-section on this African woman in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night, and like Charlize has just given the baby mouth to mouth to resuscitate it, and she's holding it. And through the headlights of the Jeep, like she looks at Javier Bardem, and like that's foreplay. This little baby.
They are so turned on right
it's
now.
It's so clunky.
Every so often you get those moments where Sean Penn remembers he was in a Terrence Malick movie once, and everybody whispers like this.
Right.
So much whispering.
Right.
But the whisper.
And they go hiking and they whisper, and then their fingers intertwine in slow motion. Also, speaking of the sound design, he had his longtime friend Eddie Vedder and other people do vocals, and so at a moment that already is really melodramatic, you have like, it's really. I'm not even exaggerating. That's exactly what it sounds like,
Yeah.
and it's really it heightens
you know,
the melodrama.
We're gonna clip that out and put that up on Twitter to tease
Please.
this review.
It veers really wild.
I want to learn how to shoot a bow and arrow.
Is it weird if I thought she was hot?
Her hair is so
Yes.
pretty.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wanted
hair.
to like roll around in her hair and take a little nap in it. It looks so nice.
Her hair had
It
its
is-
own team of animators.
It is so, no, the movie is so beautiful. And if it had held up its promise at the beginning, right? You have the strong, badass female character. Finally, there's a strong female at the center of a Pixar film, right? And the beginning of it is thrilling. The whole first thundering ride on her steed, and she's hitting all her targets expertly and not missing a beat. It's so much fun. The thing that is the spoiler ruins everything, and it all goes downhill from there. It becomes so slapsticky and so silly and so infantile and easy.
But no.
And it didn't have to be easy.
All
It could have
that,
been
all that stuff
challenging.
underscores the actual conflict of the film.
You don't need to have what happens happen to have the conflict. It's a really easy kind of physical comedy thing that they do, and the whole movie goes downhill from there.
I totally disagree. I mean, I agree you don't have to do it, but I think doing it doesn't negate what the movie sets up.
No,
I think
it's two different movies.
No, not at all.
I'm
not
sure
at
we
all.
saw
I
the
think it.
same
I think it totally.
I'm not sure what movie you saw.
I think it accentuates what the movie has set up.
I largely agree with Christy, although I think she's, I think you're, acting like a crazy girl.
Having my
right?
period,
You know women,
clearly.
right? It's no.
Right, so
I
wait 2 weeks and review this.
I thought it got. I thought it got.
Why do I feel so good right now? I don't know. Listen, go ahead.
No, it's all right. No, I thought it got silly at that point, and I thought it became a movie for 8-year-olds, and that's it. At that point, a good movie for 8-year-olds, and one that you should take your daughter to. But you're gonna be bored.
No.
Here's the thing. I like this movie, and I think I don't.
Or any of her skills, or the way that she's chosen to live her life,
I say
and that's why I really like this movie.
The emotion that they aim for in those final moments is not earned.
Yeah, I didn't feel.
Oh, I
I didn't feel. I didn't feel. I didn't feel anything.
Because
I
it's so slapsticky and so silly leading up to that.
Yeah,
You are
It is a
hot.
work-
I'm
I'm not.
sorry.
I will
This
say
is a
that-
really good movie.
Now, Ben and I talked about this. I don't feel that.